everybody. Welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford. And I don't know about you, but I've been listening nonstop to both things that came out in Bandcamp a couple weeks ago from King Gizzard. Number one, the demos 1 and 2. I have been just loving that, really taking it in. Obviously, I loved it the first time I heard it, but I let it sit for a little bit, and then I came back to it, and I just have a whole bunch more feelings on it. Which we get into a little bit in this episode. But for the sake of, I don't know what the hell's scratching around in my apartment, but that kind of freaks me out. Anyway, if it's a snake, I'll find out after I'm done recording this intro. But I'm sure it's fine. It's just wind. But anyway. I listened to these demos, and we get into it a little bit in this episode. But I absolutely just love the paper mache numbers. Most of what I like, and Dirt. The demo versions of those songs they almost feel like different songs to me. And in some ways I like them better than the album version. That's something that could very well change with more time, but right now I'm really feeling those sort of like synthy vibes. I really like it. And then with the Asheville concert, I mean that's something that I remember. I want to say it was the 5th episode that I did of this podcast with Julian, who lives somewhere in North Carolina, and I think he was at Asheville, and he was saying how, and maybe I'm misappropriating this. I didn't do the research. I forgot to go back. But anyway, if it was him, great. If it wasn't, somebody was telling me about how magical Asheville was. And, I figured like, okay, it's like every other Gizz gig, probably amazing. But then it's just like they put out the live recording, and I was like, wait, I think I really understand what he was getting at, because it was just right from the get-go such a magical show, and obviously you can hear it, if you listen to it on Bandcamp, or if you listen or watch the fan footage that was synced with the audio on YouTube. That's an incredible project. Whoever put that together, please reach out to me. I would love to have you on this podcast, because that was such a badass. That was just such a labor of love. It must have been a pain in the ass to edit all that. But it was so cool. And to see the guys themselves share it as like sort of an unexpected thing on their behalf, just like, we knew that it was a cool gig, but like to see that love reciprocated from, a fan who just showed up, very, very cool. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about Asheville. So I decided that with this episode, because I had previously booked one guest, and then he had to postpone earlier this week. So I booked a second guest. He had to postpone. So this is kind of a last minute thing, but so I threw out on one of the King Gizz Facebook pages, hey, anybody who went to Asheville, please hit me up. Something to that effect. I need you on my podcast because I got to get something out by Tuesday. And sure enough, we got Amber, who lives in Atlanta, but she went to the Asheville show last year, and has a whole story about the meaning behind it. It was it's such a compelling story of hers, and she's also just like one of the coolest people in the Gizzverse. I think she ran last year a King Gizzard gift exchange, like a Secret Santa type thing, and just with Gizz related things that you would put in the mail to other Gizz fans, and she has a whole system. Very, very cool thing. I unfortunately wasn't able to participate last year, but I fully intend on it this year. Just talking with her, it's like I never forget it, but it's like it's always nice to get like a really solid reminder of how wonderful the Gizz community can really be. Um, I mean, like we joke about, being a cult and and like a religion or like a very, sort of communal way of life. And, it is kind of scary on one hand, but on the other, it's like, it does feel pretty great. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably plenty indoctrinated. So, um, y'all know. But anyway, let's just get right into this episode. Here is Amber. You're going to love her. There's always some kind of connection issue. Or in this case, I just needed to update the software. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so first of all, thanks for coming on the podcast.
I appreciated the link you sent me. It was cool catching up on like a bit of what your podcast is about, and I think that's really cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course, like the theme song.
Thank you so much. I take a lot of pride in that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, the whole I mean, I guess going back to like the name of this podcast, it was like there were so many different ones to choose from. And this one just sounded the most ridiculous, but also the most like accurate, like the most accurate to describe what the podcast is.
Yeah, and if you know, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for listening and obviously for being here on such short notice. I woke up at about 4 a.m. here and couldn't go back to sleep. And I was like, shit, I need to get a guest. So I appreciate you for bailing me out here.
Well, you said Asheville, so that was like the most important thing for me. And that was like the first time I saw Gizz and a very important night for me. So I was like, okay, I love supporting our friends from the group. And like, that definitely was like something important to me. So.
Oh, dude, hell yeah. I appreciate that so much. So I wasn't at the Asheville show.
No.
But I mean, because, I'm on the West Coast, but I have talked with other people who either were there or they know somebody who went, and they were just like, it was an insane night. And I just figured, what's one night that's like more insane than any other King Gizzard night? Like they always kill it.
Yeah.
But then they released the live album from Asheville, and it just had a different feeling to it. I mean, just right from the get-go, when they come out to Evil Star and then Joey's just like, turn it up, Sammy. I was just like, okay, this is different. He's really setting the tone. They legitimately love being in Asheville. And I really think that plays a lot into what made it such a good show. But I mean, there were so many other things too.
Yeah. So like a bit of like what I noticed is, first of all, I live in Atlanta. So I hauled ass like that day, like to get to Asheville, got to my room, got changed, immediately got over to the show because I'm panicking about the posters. So and like the thing is, I wasn't even originally planning on going to Asheville. I was just gonna go to Atlanta, but like long story short, I met a friend through the Gizz Facebook fan page, and I was like, he was going to Asheville show, and he's like, well, you ought to go, and I was like, my ex, my boyfriend at the time, was like always getting on to me for spending money on concerts, and I was like, okay, I might go, I might not go, but I like decided to go like towards the weeks coming up to the show, and I was like, all right, I gotta go. And so I drive up and I'm like running late, so he happened to snag 3 posters, so we got 3 original posters that night, which was huge, because like the thing with the Asheville, like from what I hear, because I wasn't in line, is like they were cash only, but like there was no signs that said cash only, so you started getting like a couple people back and they're like, hey, by the way, it's cash. And so he like kept his friend in line, ran to go get like cash. Then the line at the ATM was huge, and so he said it got to the point where his friend is like, you can go, like letting people go, and like he's just thinking like every person is like up to like 3 posters or like 2 or whatever they were doing a person, and it was like a nightmare, but like we lucked out. and
Wow.
happened to get, and the thing is the numbers are written in pencil on by Galia, like they're
Mhm.
not pinned for that night for some reason. And we showed somebody in the lot, and they immediately were like, "Oh, whoa!" And they like smeared one. And we were like, "Son of a."
Oh, that's absolutely. Don't you hate it? Like you're just like, hey, it's show and tell. It's not show and like, here you can touch it now. Like just
Yeah, it was
boundaries,
cool though,
people.
because he's our buddy. It's actually
Oh,
Michael Ward, the one that does Psy Goodies. So,
oh, nice.
so we're like, okay, like what we like met him that night.
Oh
He
man.
was there. I think it was his friend's 40th or something, and they were like having some fun for sure. So,
Yeah.
and I actually had heard the recording of the show, of course not Gizz's version, but prior to like them putting the album out, because Mystery Jack filmed it, and so he had the full taping, and so that being the night that I happened to meet my Gizz friend, which turned into my boyfriend and my partner now. So like that was like a very important night for me. So we like on the 1 year like listened to it, and then like shortly after the recording was released through Gizz, and we were like, man, we knew like that was a special night. Like it felt like a mini Gizzfest because the like temperature was beautiful. It was like a perfect night, crisp, clear, sun was going down, beautiful sunset. Like, you know, first it was Stonefield, then Orb, and then Gizz, and it was like just felt like mini Gizz Fest because it was outside. Like, it was
Yeah.
cool.
That's so cool. I mean, like that, and that just sounds like the ideal story of like meeting your significant other. At least for me, like
It
that
was
would just be
definitely
amazing.
weird.
Yeah, it's like I bring up King Giz on the first date, and it's like, all right, that's bye. But
Yeah, no, for sure. And it was something like my ex-boyfriend, like he wasn't into it. He didn't get it at all. So I was over here just like in my own little world, and reached out to people like, hey, who's going to see him in Atlanta? Like, let's link up. Cause like I was trying to meet friends that I could like, that would get it. And
Mhm.
it was just so random, like so funny. But like, I'm just like sitting down drinking my beer because it was at a brewery. So it was like, you know, just chilling. Everybody was like, brought towels and was like sitting on the yard, and like my friends walked up, and like, yeah, seriously, the rest was history. It was, but the funniest part about it is as soon as the show started, like he just like dove into the pit and lectured me with his best friend. And so actually like the whole night I was chilling with his best friend, and it was like super fun. Like we were vibing, like having a night to ourselves. And then like the show ended, and I was like, oh, where's Cody? Like we have to find him. Like, and like the people, like it was so crowded that like there was no Uber home.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
so there was like, I had to call my mom, and she came in my car and picked us up. And then we went to like a drag bar in Asheville and had like a whole nother like adventure. So it was just like a really cool night. Like,
With your mom?
yeah, with my mom, we went
Fuck
to a drag.
yeah! God, you got a
It
cool
was like,
family.
it was like 80s prom night, and we were like, fuck it, let's just go. And like, we were like, then we went to Waffle House, and we were like, I know you were West Coast, but
Oh no, I know Waffle
was the
House.
thing. Because we were like, oh, if the boys like run up this Waffle House, we're gonna be like, holy shit, like, g'day, like we want to, we'll show you everything. Like, so no, it was like the vibes were super cool, like because we only knew about this drag bar because his friends that were there were like, hey, check it out. So I feel like Asheville is just a cool town, and they could feel that it was like that hippie cool energy, like
Yeah.
town.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there are towns like that that just have that energy to them. I mean, I live in Joshua Tree, California, and
Well,
that
then you know.
yeah. I mean, it's like we've got all the hippie vibes and everything. Like we got like these authentic original beatniks that are still
Yeah.
kicking, and yeah. I mean, there's such a cool vibe to that. And then like last weekend, I was in Prescott, Arizona, which is another just like I don't know. It's just like a weird like not really old west, but sort of mountain town.
Yeah.
And it's got kind of like I guess it is similar to like Appalachia, but on the west coast. And
Yeah, I
um,
mean, Asheville, like North Carolina is a pretty conservative area. So Asheville's like a really like microcosm, and it's like
yeah,
super hippie mountain town. Like It's really cool. Like, I would highly suggest if you're ever like East Coast in it to like check it out. But honestly, like, I feel like they probably just like read that energy because they were in town all day. You know, they
Yeah.
must have been like, oh, this is like a really cool. Because that's one. If you hear in the recording, he was like, "You guys have a really cool town" or whatever. And yeah, I felt like he liked it, and they brought like way chiller like vibes, like how he was doing beginner's luck, and it was just like calm at times. Like, and I was on the side, so I'm like super friggin' short. I'm
Mhm.
like under 5 foot tall, so I'm like, I was like no parts of the pit. Like, I didn't want any, especially with Infest the Rat's Nest. I don't know if you remember, if you saw them last tour, but it was like none of us knew like how dangerous it was about to be. Like,
Even before they released Rat's Nest, the pit is never safe. Like,
yeah, and so
like,
that's what I've heard, and I'm like, I'm glasses, and like, I'm like, oh no. So like, anywho, I like chilled on like the side of the stage, so I had no view of like the actual like visuals, which kind of sucked. But the next night in Atlanta, I was also there, and I made sure to get like seats, so I was like
yeah.
up and had a perfect view. But like, down being on the side, like I was able to see Ambrose when he was doing the whole Bitter Buggy. Like, he got right when he was doing Bitter Buggy, he got like right in the crowd. He was like laying on top of people, and it was hilarious. Like, and he was like, the funniest thing about that I remember is he was like trying to like be really sensual, and like everybody was like being like, yes, like, and he was just like giggling because he was like, you people are crazy. Like, like he's like joking he's a sex symbol, and we're like, you are, like. But it was like super, like, everybody was definitely like on 10 that night and feeling great, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, you could just tell from the crowd, especially, like you mentioned, Beginner's Luck. That was placed so perfectly in the set list because, like,
Mm-hmm.
they had just done. I think that came at like after
This
um
thing,
this thing. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and
I got the set list up because I was like, I want to remember, like.
yeah, thanks, because I also wanted to have it up and I forgot. But
Yeah, like,
um,
for sure.
but I mean, just that like middle block of Beginner's Luck. Then what do they do? Rattlesnake right after that. Um,
Oh yeah. Beginner's Luck, then Rattlesnake, and then
yeah,
Side Bogey, which is like hilarious because it's like they're like, let's do a couple like meme songs, like.
yeah,
But
but
then they just like they do Loyalty right after, so it's just like so much going
well,
on.
and that was one of the craziest transitions I've ever heard, going from Side Boogie into Loyalty. Because so I saw them 3 times last summer.
Got
And
one
so
up on me.
what was that?
One up on me because I just did
Yeah.
Asheville in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, I realize now that like I'm so fucking privileged to have seen them 3 times, but
It's so awesome.
yeah. So like I got to see them play the Horology Suite twice, and I
Oh,
mean that was just mind bending for me.
yeah.
But like they played the whole thing starting with Inner Cell, and so I just figured that like if they're going to be playing that suite, they would just do the 3 songs and like that would be it. But then to see them go into Asheville and change it up, going with Side Boogie and then into Loyalty, like that created such a different dynamic for me, like just as a fan, because it was just like,
Well, like Side Boogie, actually, like, I'm not gonna lie, like that wasn't my favorite. One of my favorite songs. I mean, I'm okay. Like, I'm one of those people. Like, I love everything and can respect everything. Like, we won't not stand. But like, Side Boogie wasn't one of my personal like jam all the times. But like after I saw it live, like it became one of my favorite songs because like it's fun. It's like super fun live, and like I listen to a lot of electronic music too, and so like them having like I think I didn't realize how good the bass was because live it was like, holy shit, like this is a bop. Like we were all dancing, and like I think that energy, because like if you're just in the car, like yeah, you're like, it's just like I feel like you can't respect the full boogie.
oh,
Like
totally. And like when you're in a car, you're probably not listening through like, high fidelity sound.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like,
So I
like
think
shit,
I
the
like
left
really,
side of my car stereo is just out completely. So I have to
and they were
listen to
doing the
everything
like
through
red
mono.
and blue. They were doing the red and blue Gator, and it was like 3D glasses type shit, and it was like
Yeah.
super cool. But like I think what made the show for me, like the whole reason I felt like like I was glad that I went, was Hell. Like that was worth the whole show for me. Like money wise, like just going up there and everything. Like seeing Hell, I would have paid like just if they just did that one song and then they left, it would still be like hell yeah. Like that was my name's Amber, so I was like dying to see it.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
this is the shit. And like as soon as it started, there was this girl in front of me, which I recently connected with on Facebook through the group. Her name was Amber, and she had like a crochet Gizz shirt that she had handmade herself with like the gator and stuff. And like, dude, during that song, we literally like linked arms and we're like spinning, and we were like, bitch, if you can, we can make a portal. We're doing it now. Like it was like the funnest like thing. We were like a little blitzed like at the brewery, and we were
Gotta be.
like,
Yeah.
Forever. So it was like super fun. Like I'll never forget that. And then I saw her in Atlanta the next night in the bathroom. I heard her voice and I was like, Amber, is that you? And she was like, girl. And I was like, it was like, holy shit. Like this, it's actually, it's weird how close some of the people like get. Like I've met people through the group that are just like so cool. It's like becomes a little friend family.
Yeah, I mean that's been something that's been so cool about quarantine for me at least, is like realizing that, you know, in addition to my own actual family, like you get to choose your own family as an adult,
Yeah.
and like I've gotten so much closer with a bunch of different people, and then like having this podcast, I've become like legitimate friends with a few people that I just randomly had on, and like I'm, you know, I got my guy Ricky, who I've had on this podcast 3 times, and that like might seem a little excessive, but like he's always got something hilarious to say, and we always vibe, so it's great. But I am also really thrilled for you that you get a real anthem for your name. You know, it's no longer just 311. Whoa,
Oh,
Ember's the color of your energy.
yeah. I get something
Whoa,
new now.
the door to hell is Amber.
I was like, so, and like the funniest thing about it is my boyfriend's family, they're religious. We're in Georgia, and I'm like, oh no, like don't let your mom hear that song. Like I'm his new lady from the kids get group, and like I'm like, oh no, like don't get any weird ideas. Like I'm totally normal. Like
Yeah.
amazing though. And then like, hey, like since I got with my guy, like the first song that they released was Honey, and we're like, my heart.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean that is so Honey, like I think is their most perfect love song. I mean it's
So sweet.
It's sweet and it's dark, and it's really pragmatic,
Yeah.
which I like about it. And it's like, I mean, because like that's another thing. Like I've seen a whole bunch of relationships crumble during the pandemic, and that's been like objectively good in most cases. Just because like those are people that shouldn't have been together anyway.
But you
And
know what? It's like we don't need dating sites. We just need the Gizz fan page. Like
yeah,
everybody's got their Gizz fan, like member, perfect soulmate match. Like
yeah.
it's like
I mean,
we need to capitalize on this. Like
I would stop a little short of there, because then you get into like, you know, Jonestown territory or like Waco,
no.
and you know we don't want the ATF coming in. So.
Oh, it's a goal. Can confirm. Yeah, man, I just feel like people really bond over it, and I feel like people, it's like my dad, you know, I took him to the Atlanta show, and he loves Gizz too, and you know, he's like, it's like a new Rush, you know, people that were into Rush were intellectual, people that were into Rush were all about the, oh shit, like this song's like really like aligns, and like there's like a whole thing going on, and like so I feel like Gizz kind of is allowing people to connect on like an intellectual type of um like music artistry again. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like a brand new thing, but it is something that's not like common, you know, and so it's given people a chance to like think again. I think.
Oh, I mean, for sure. I mean, I mean that's what drew me into Giz, because like I'm already an overthinker as it is, and like I've learned that I actually really like being in my head. Like it's just legitimately fun up here, and and like Giz, just with all their you know, their themes that transcend, you know, different albums and everything. It's just so fun to read into and to like derive meaning from,
Right.
because it does like put me in like sort of like like it does shit to my soul that's like that I love and sometimes don't love, but then I
Right.
learn to love it.
It's a lot
It's
to think about at times, and like
yeah,
definitely like, can weigh heavy at times. But I think like knowing someone, like if someone truly likes that music or bonds with that music, you can kind of tell that they're like able to at least think about things in a different way.
yeah.
Not saying everyone who listens to Gizz is super deep. I'm just saying like
Oh no, no,
it creates a quicker bond if you know that someone like can listen to that music and enjoy it type deal. But
yeah.
yeah, I agree. Like it was hard, especially within Fest of Rat's Nest. It was like a lot to think about. I think with the themes that they were kind of overtly discussing, and I just
Mhm.
think clearly now more than ever we're like seeing the effects of some of the stuff that they talked about. And I don't know how old you are, but I'm 28, and like I feel like they're like my age, and so they're speaking to things that are really like relevant to me, and so like it's just cool.
Yeah, I mean like I'm 30 and it was yeah, it's very very relevant. Like I was driving down from Seattle to California after Labor Day, and that was when the fires were going like hardcore. And like
Mhm.
I was seeing again, in addition to fire on either side of I-5, like there was also I mean just a completely either black or like sepia yellow sky.
Mhm.
That was I was just like, man, Venusian One is such a great song. And
Yeah.
I mean, like I had to find the humor in it.
It
Um,
was it Venusian? I think Venusian one that they opened with in Atlanta, or was it two?
uh, it was one, but on the Bandcamp they mislabeled it because Stu is always going to make some kind of quirky error.
Skippy.
Uh,
Well, like all I know is I remember it was Venusian one, I thought, but regardless, I knew it was one of the two, and I was just like, oh shit, like, and also that was another really special thing about Asheville is like them starting with self-immolate,
mhm.
because we had seen video, like I'm sure you did, like we saw videos of them opening some of the shows with that, and I was like, dude, if I like, and of course we didn't even know Evil Star was like, what was that? It was just
Yeah,
like a cool intro like noise, that they had going on. So like it was just cool because like I saw them come out in order, and like of course Cavs and Eric came out first, and it was just like, oh wow, like they just started, and then you saw Ambi and everybody follow through, and like Joey was just like hyped from the start, of course, so he
yeah,
always is. But yeah, like that was like, it was super cool to see them start with self-immolate.
for sure. I mean, and that's something that I've learned, I guess, a year later now, because all three shows that I saw them play last year, they started with self-immolate,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, oh, really, a third time again? Like I just wanted some variance, but then after listening to like the live like the Europe shows that were released back in
Mm-hmm.
January and the one in Adelaide. Uh, and they started with different songs. I was like, maybe I'm kind of glad that they started with self-immolate, and it was so cool
Yeah.
because when I saw them in Seattle on my dad's birthday, actually took him there. Uh,
Woo!
they
Oh,
started with
yeah.
self-immolate, and it was just Eric initially. Like Eric just came out and he just started going boom, 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 and it was just like that's so badass because like he's not even in the band anymore. And but then Cavs came out and like joined in, and it was cool to see it just kind of build up, and like also where Eric just got to be the lead drummer for a hot second. Like that
Yeah.
was it was cool.
Buddy, how about I let you lead for a moment?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I finished my beer or whatever
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
definitely doing or whatever. But yeah, like, dude, that's really cool. But I just think it's powerful, to see like, another song. Yeah, I've like, especially with Red Rocks, like I've done a lot of fantasizing about what I hope they open with. Um, I'm night one, Superbug, night two, float along, fill your lungs, fam. But
Mhm.
like it could be a million different things, and there's always those songs you like hope to see as an opener specifically. But dude, I just feel like for that Infest the Rat's Nest like hot tour,
Yeah.
that's like the freshest shit. So I just feel like it was like we're never gonna probably see them do that again because they did run it out. So you might have got the three only times you'll ever,
I mean, could you imagine that? Like I would imagine that they would. continue to play stuff from Rat's Nest, but you know, what if like that was just kind of a one-off tour? Like you never know until
The most of it we're gonna see. Like,
yeah, I mean, because they ran every song from the album. I mean, like I'm pretty sure I saw every song other than Superbug live. Like,
see, which would be lit, but I didn't see Oregon Farmer, which I'm personally pissed about, but it haps.
yeah,
But Oregon Farmer was like, I wanted it really bad in Asheville, but hey, like, would I trade Lord of Lightning for, you know, Oregon Farmer? Probably not. Like,
yeah, I would agree with that.
it's like,
But yeah, I think like, you know, as far as Red Rocks go, so I take it you have tickets.
oh yeah, both nights
Sweet,
we
yeah.
all do.
Well, we'll definitely be seeing each other there. But yeah, I think at this point, like, I really love analyzing the Gizz set lists like well after they've happened. And then just when I'm in the moment, I just want to be surprised. Like, I just want them to just
Right.
like, I want to be able to not predict it. Cause like something is just, I think it's just that I'm a really competitive person. But like whenever I see them live, I'm just like, I bet I can guess the next song. Like it's just a little
Right.
like neuroticism that I have where I'm just like, I know it's coming. I know. And then usually I'm right. But then I'm like pleasantly, I've got like a pleasantly bruised ego when I'm not.
Right. Well, like some of the songs, like some of the Asheville show, like it definitely was a shock. Like I definitely didn't know. Probably the biggest shocker of that was probably Beginner's Luck, honestly, because that was like, and also the ending with Bitter Boogie was like, because at first I was like, what? I was like, I didn't know, because I was like a little confused what he was playing in the beginning of Bitter Boogie, and then I realized what was happening, and I was like, holy, like this is like kind of like random for them to choose for like a closer. And we also were like, at first we didn't know if it was a closer or not, but then we were like, oh yeah, no, this is it, like it's pretty huge.
Yeah,
So
it was so cool to see them break that out.
for
Um,
sure.
I mean, because like I had not seen them play that. Like, I've never seen them play anything off Paper Mache, which that's one of my favorite albums.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
and
like, thinking about people getting to see Sense, like,
yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, they played it in DC. I think that's where they debuted it. And yeah, Sense would be incredible. They played Dirt in Germany, and also, so I'm assuming you've listened to the demos.
yeah.
Uh, I almost wish that they had just gone with that version of Dirt instead of turning it into an acoustic song.
Oh, you know
Um,
what? I don't know if I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that again.
oh yeah. It's like it's off the demos that they put up on Bandcamp, not the
Yeah.
initial one that they live streamed.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Because there's like, there's like so much bopping around. It's like, oh my god, like
yeah,
every day is, and I'm waiting for, of course, like the big drops. So we're all
yeah,
staying heavily pressed to our keyboards, waiting for the news.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It seems like there's been so much and also just nothing that's come out recently. Like it's such a yin and yang, but you know, because like we have the teasers, we know the new album is coming. I think there was a leaked date, November 23rd, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that's totally confirmed.
Yeah. I
Um,
guess we're waiting.
yeah, but it sounds about right. And
Yeah.
and then there's, you know, that teaser for what looks to be like the Nonagon movie or something that they just dropped a few days ago, and I mean, so there's just a lot of speculation now. Like,
Yeah.
what do we got?
And
Where
then
do you
of
think we're
course,
headed?
reconvening next October, like that gives a lot of time. So like my personal hopes and dreams are that they add a third day, and that like they do whatever additional albums, you know what I mean? So they don't have to cut anything.
Yeah,
So because adding an additional 30 minutes to an hour to either of the days would be probably harder than to add like an additional day, to which we're all just gonna push our flight out or whatever, and just
yeah, well,
definitely do that. Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm even debating, like, I might just drive to Denver instead of fly. I don't even know, just to give myself that flexibility. Uh, but I mean, I guess that's the perk of living like 20 hours away,
I know.
which I
Yeah.
consider driving
Well,
distance.
yeah, trip out would be pretty. I don't even know how long it would be to drive from Atlanta to Colorado, but hey, they have everything I need
Yeah,
there, so I'll
I,
just
I think you
fly.
could probably do it in like, you could probably do it in 4 days. Uh,
Yeah,
like I used to live in Savannah, or like I lived there for a summer. I was doing an internship,
nice.
like 6 years ago. Amazing place. I just fell in love with
Yeah,
it.
we love
Um,
Savannah.
yeah, and I drove out there from Seattle, and that took me 6 days. So I think
That's
it's
crazy. We
so
won't
it would be doable if you and your boyfriend wanted to do like a
big
road
trip,
trip, and
huge
I
trip.
mean that it would be really fun, and like I gained a whole new appreciation for road trips this summer. Like I went to
I
Yellowstone with
know. Yeah, that
friends,
is
and
true. Road tripping this has been the summer of road trips
yeah,
for sure, which is
and
what I guess what we got to do.
yeah, and I mean especially like October is probably an even better time to road trip because it's not going to be so hot everywhere, and um
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I'm a little concerned like how cold it's gonna be. Like, but hey, if there's anybody there, I'll be there with bells on. It's gonna be so friggin' fun. Like, and the thing is, after everybody's like took the time to like get excited and then have the dreams crushed and then get excited again, dreams crushed. Like, I think we're all gonna be ready to party for sure. So
it's going to be
someone will
such.
have to babysit us because we're all gonna be like ski, like just so freaking
I
happy.
mean, the thing is, like, because there's going to be so much stimulation, and like such a magical pair of nights for everybody there, or like the vast majority of people there. Like, how can you just like disperse that energy? Like, I feel like there needs to just be like an additional night or two of camping somewhere that that's just like,
Can
all
you
right, let's.
imagine? Yeah, and it's gonna be a cluster after the shows. Because can you imagine everybody trying to stick around to meet them? Like that's gonna be like impossible. Red Rocks, like because
Yeah,
when they were in Atlanta, like they had a lot of people waiting, and I was there out there till like 1:30, and I only got to meet like Lucas and Eric, and
yeah.
I saw Cavs earlier in the night. So like, I mean, it's gonna be like people are gonna be trying to wait, but that's gonna be crowded.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be crowded as hell, um, but and I still haven't figured out the logistics of like, is there camping nearby at Red Rocks or anything? Like I haven't looked any of it up. I have no idea.
I'm
But
doing Airbnb and 30 minutes drive to the show. Like
yeah,
I'm staying in Denver and doing my Airbnb. But hey, we'll just have to do whatever we can do. Shit, camping might be the safest choice by that in that regard. Like
yeah. I mean, because like I have family in like outside Denver, so I was probably just gonna stay with them. But
seriously.
I'm just thinking of like the logistics of getting out of a parking lot is just a nightmare at any kind of large event. um, and especially like if I mean, who knows? Because like I definitely anticipate taking LSD at some point on one of the nights, and that's not something I want to drive with.
Yeah,
Like especially navigating out of a parking lot, I can only imagine I would just get really annoyed. Um,
absolutely. I have to do it like Burning Man and just parachute in.
yeah,
It's like if you can parachute in, you're allowed to be here, man, or whatever. It's like
if that's the thing, then that's awesome. I have no I have no idea what Burning Man's like.
oh, yeah, no, I've just always, I don't know if that's like a wives' tale or what. I've just always heard like that it back in the day, it used to be like if you could like arrive without having to go through whatever, that they would allow you to stay or something, like, and people used to parachute in or something.
That
Who
is so
friggin'
cool.
knows? Who friggin' knows? That's probably just some kind of hippie wives' tale, but I want to believe. I will believe.
I mean, pre 9/11, that sounds pretty realistic. Like, um,
Gyrocopter in.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
That,
But yeah, I appreciate you inviting me to like chat today about Asheville. I mean, it's super fun to reflect on that night because I mean the food was good. They had like they had like Asian like like they had food truck after food truck,
oh, that's
sick
cool.
beer, like just it was like everybody was feeling it. So
I definitely think that that's a different kind of setting than most of the other venues, because I saw them at a couple different theaters, and then in Central Park in New York, and there were no food trucks. It was just like when I saw them at the Greek Theater in LA, like they had stadium food, so it's just like if you want some $15 chicken strips, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh,
it was
pass
like,
on that.
dude, I literally got like some red cabbage coleslaw with some
Fuck yeah.
sticky rice and like pulled pork bao. Like it was, I just remember being like, I have a video of me of my food, and it's just like stone filled, and I'm just like eating good meal and then getting ready for the show. Like, but yeah, Stonefield rocked it, and so did Orb. Like it was just a huge echo of sound. So I think probably other than Alley Pally, like for the last tour, it was probably one of the cooler places. Other than
Yeah.
and New York City, I'm sure was any of those big shows would have been.
I mean, honestly, Asheville was a better show than New York.
No,
It was incredible. I mean, New York
probably.
was fine. It was good. But like the Asheville, like especially when they
Not
synced the fan footage with the with the official recording, like that really put into perspective for me how magical that really was for like everybody involved, because
Hell yeah.
that looked like a really tedious process to make that video and like aggregate all of the fan recordings. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is a labor of love right there. And
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
was doing that for Central Park.
Yeah. No, it was a good time for sure. And I think a lot of people that were there like didn't necessarily even I mean, we knew how awesome it was, but I think it was really validating for the band to release that, because it's like, damn, I knew that was an extra special day. Like, it was so fun.
Yeah, I'm and like even Ambrose, I think, said something to the effect of like, we feel the love, like, and he was being serious, like you could tell. But yeah, before I let you go, is there anything else that we haven't discussed yet, Giz related, that you would like to touch on?
Well, not really, but what I will say is last year I ran a Gizz gift exchange through the group for
I
Christmas.
remember that.
Were you a part of it?
I wasn't a part. I was,
No!
had stuff going on, but but yeah,
So
I thought that was so cool.
yeah, so what we wanted to do is like we didn't like it wasn't secret. It was just a little exchange. Like even if you wanted to like color a Giz picture and like send it out just to show a little love to a friend, because like I said, connecting with someone through the group literally changed my life. Like so I've really been a proponent of that, and so we got a lot of cool people involved. And like for example, like Sydney was involved, and she was able to like kind of do, I think her match got a copy of her book, which was incredible. And I got actually my mom was a part of it. She got a vinyl of quarters, which was really cool.
Oh, that's
And
special.
just a lot of people got different stuff. My mom hand painted Mind Fuzz cover, and like so we got prints made of that for everybody, so like it was like a really cool thing. So what I would say is like if you want to be involved, we'd be happy to have you. And the point is, it's an exchange, so we get all the peoples, and then we just mix and match everybody, and everybody gets one person. And
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in for that this year, and I would love to have you on the podcast again, like around the holidays, just to
oh yeah,
talk more about this, and just whatever else. I'm sure by the time the holidays roll around, we'll have a lot more stuff to discuss.
absolutely. Well, maybe we can do like a little thing to like feature like a couple folks that are gonna be a part of it or something, and
Hell
like
yeah!
we'll do a fun thing. But yeah, like the whole idea was just to like connect us, because we're all pals, even if we haven't met yet. So it's
Damn
just a cool
straight.
thing.
I absolutely love that. Amber, you're a super awesome person. You come from a dope ass family, and I absolutely love having you on this
Dude.
podcast.
And like shout outs to us bringing our dad to like little new school for you, pops.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. Well,
Well,
thank you so much for
man.
coming on the podcast, and take it easy.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
Bye.